reapers of Asgard build towers of stone, but the dirt holds the claim of the marrow and bone. I feed the brood on the flesh of the dead. Soon the sky will be painted with a fog of red. Hear the pack aligned, hear the iron pine. The silver wheel will break, the mother's power wakes. Yarn with the ironwood and iron bar. Yarn with the witches on a shadow throw. Rise up the claws, swallow the sun. The doom of usurpers has just begun. Now, Skull hunts the daylight, Hati hunts the moon. The cage of their order will shatter out soon. I cradle the hunter, I harbor the jaws that answer to nothing but older laws. The winter is waking, the shadowline draws. No walls of the tyrants can hold back our claws. Yarn with the ironwood and iron bar. Yarn with the witches on her shadow throne. Rise up the claws, swallow the sun. Doom of usurpers has just begun. Now, takala! Tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder, tear them asunder. Near Banbridge town in the county down, one morning in July, from a bohin green I was clearly seen as I went traipsing by. He stood quite still as if struck by a chill or a vision of ancient grace, and he gazed with a stare at my nut-brown hair till the blood rushed to his face. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no lad I've seen has a look so keen as I saw here in County Down. I gave no sign as he watched the line of my shadow as I passed, but I felt the heat of his gaze so sweet, and I knew the spell was cast. He gripped his walking stick with a hand so quick as he tripped o'er his feet. For a lad so bold, he was knocked from his hold by a girl that he chanced to meet. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, no lad I've met hasn't a name to the county down. Now they say he's gone to the harvest fair with the heart all in a knot, to ask my name and to play the game and to find my humble cot. Well, let him come and let him drum his fingers on the door. If he's half the wit as he's got the grit, I might like him a wee bit more. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, there a lad I've sought has a heart so caught by the star of the county down. Snow on the heather, smoke from the roofs. I stand on the ridgeline, breathing the proof. Sky like a pale bowl, frost in my hair, name on my tongue tip, thin in the air. I call across the pines, he's yellow, high and wild and wide. If you're lost, then follow the sound. Let it guide you through the night. I call across the pines, bare feet on the ground. If your heart can hear my cry, you will find your way back home. Tracks in the powder, turning and gone. Wind takes the branches, braids them in song. Far in the darkness, something replies, echo or answer, tears in my eyes. Where are you now? I won't fall The fire smokes black when she walks through the door, a shadow that stretches across the stone floor. She carries the staff, she carries the sight, a piece of the morning in the heart of the night. Satan, 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 Satan.
The staff hits the wood where the kings used to stand. Fate is a needle in a trembling hand. You asked for the rune, you asked for the flame, but you're too weak to carry the weight of your name.
Allah, the thread is unweaving. Allah, the truth is bereaving. The vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown. She sees the high hall, she sees it in ash, the glint of the gold, the sting of the lash. She speaks to the dead, she drinks from the well. There are secrets the living are too frightened to tell. The thread is unweaving. The truth is bereaving. Vulva is spinning, the spirit and bone. The seeds of your ending have already been sown.
Good and fair evening, my friends. Welcome back to another beautiful night in the tavern. I apologize for being so late this evening. Not that me being late is unusual, but tonight it was a particular gaffe. I made a boo-boo, but it is fixed now and it should be all well and good. Erin, am I to understand you have a birthday coming up in 43 minutes? Let's see, we've got Jordan Matheson. Oh, Jordan and Dave. Hello, my friends. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let's see who all we have in. We have Erin, we have Milu, we've got The Bear, we've got Molly Sue, we've got Sir Chatty Matty, of course. We've got Frost. And I think I saw Tyson was in as well. Yes. Absolute spectacular. That's everyone we've got in over on the Twitch portal. We also have Badassism. Badassism, is that Clifford? Am I remembering that right? Theophilius, hello, hello. Tavern pause after finishing my chapter of Old Norse Declination. Declination. Wow, that is an exceptional word. Theophilius, hello, my friends. Good to see you. Jordan, what's up? Happy birthday, basically. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, good. I'm glad I remembered. Well, welcome in Kevin and Dave and Jordan and, of course, Clifford. Welcome in, my friends. And then we have Mary Beth and George over on the Facebook portal. Hello, my friends. Good to see you all. We are in the midst of Eragon. Now, actually, very excitingly, we did get a physical copy of Mozart. Hello over on the TikTok portal, my friend. Oh, somebody called Dante's Inferno G7 dropped in over on TikTok. We got a physical copy of The Dragon and the George for Thursday. Very happy about that. Unfortunately, we ordered a hardback, and they sent us this mass market paperback for some reason, which is a little bit bollocks, but it's going to be easier for me to read this than read from the screen anyways. But tonight, my friends, we are in the midst of Eragon, the first book in the inheritance cycle. Kayla, hello, good to see you, love, welcome in. Yeah, we always try to do book rescue just because it's we feel like giving books a second life here in the tavern is a good thing, you know. They're gonna come here, they're gonna be loved. Erin over on TikTok, hello. I am bored. I'm sorry, Kayla, I'm getting to it. I'm gonna start reading. I apologize, I'm not trying to be boring. Milu! Also, this cannot be this crazy. My favorite characters to write were called Aries and Pisces. Me and my lady are Pisces and Aries. Starting to think I'm a precog. Well, precognition usually is only associated with disaster, Matty, so let's hope not. But yeah, we do our best to rescue books so they can have a second life here in the tavern. But the problem is that a lot of times these book resellers, they don't accurately label the books, so you'll order a book and you won't get what you ordered, which is sad. But guys, we are coming up on the end of Eragon. We are right there. So we're on page 403. And the book ends on page 509. We have 107 pages left. Kevin Miller says, Old Gods of Asgard. 39 minutes until Erin's birthday. You know what? I'm going to set a 38-minute timer so that we can all stop and say happy birthday to Erin as her birthday comes about. We'll do 37 minutes. Well, good, Matty, I'm glad. It's always nice when you find somebody who can help to make you happy, but it's always important to remember that any happiness that comes from without is merely a form of bliss. True happiness has to come from within. For a person who is miserable within can never be content without. I just miss people. I'm working on it. Kayla says, read me a story. I'm working on it. He's gonna waffle for... I am not. I am not gonna waffle for 3 hours. Maybe an hour and a half, but not 3 hours. They do have Twitch for TV, Kayla. They do. It's not a great app, but they do have Twitch for TV. Dave says happy birthday. God of War Ragnarok, what's your opinion on it? I think you might have asked this already once, Jordan, or somebody might have. A lot of people really liked God of War Ragnarok. I thought it was a clear step down from God of War 2016 or 2018, whatever it was. They changed a lot of the combat mechanics with no real reason, and in my opinion, they made them worse. And then beyond that, they completely reignited a bunch of character problems that had been resolved in the first game. So a bunch of the drama between Kratos and Atreus was revamped. A bunch of the drama between Brock and Sindri was revamped. and it didn't have any sort of original friction within itself. And then beyond that, I was worried about it in the first game, and I actually did. I think I streamed the entire first game. I was worried in the first game that they were planning to fridge Kratos in his own series. And the second game made it very clear that that's what they were planning to do, is to more or less get Kratos out of his own game. Which I don't like that. It'd be like, to me, it's like if Lara Croft took on her... Milu says it's good to watch, sucks to chat. Correct. For the Twitch app on TV. It's nice to watch because you can just put it up on the big screen and you'll have the chat there, but you won't be able to chat on anything. Because the original God of War, like the one back on the PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, it was centered around Kratos and his inability to overcome his rage. So they don't give us any sort of resolution for that in the transition between the old games and the new games. They just basically go, oh, he got married again and forgot about his old life and all of the things that he did. And they didn't give a substantial reason as to why that transition happened. So that, as a storyteller, that already bothered me. Because it's basically saying, we don't care about the source material for this. We're just going to do what we want with the material. But I decided I was going to let the game go through, and I was going to try and grade it based on its own merits. I was going to grade it based on how good of a game it was as an independent franchise. I did the same thing with Doom 2016, and I tried to do it with every game. But the problem is that when you take a game or a franchise and you put that name on it, you are asking the fans of that game or that movie or that book or that show to give you money. You're basically saying, trust that we are going to do something worthwhile with this intellectual property, with this story. And what ends up happening a lot of times is the writers of the story say, I want to leave my mark on this. I don't give a damn about the original story, is more or less what it is. And that's what I saw with God of War 2016 or 2018, whatever it was. But the game itself was pretty good. It was a pretty good game overall. I wouldn't say it was a good God of War game, and it wasn't a good God of War game that was supposed to accurately represent Norse mythology, which was the big selling point for me, is that we don't get a lot of things that have accurate representation of world lore in them. What ends up happening a lot of times is you'll get something that's like very tenuously connected to some folklore, and then it's just got some bollocks on top of it that has nothing to do with it. They did a pretty good job with like the construction of the world, but none of the characters are really accurately represented. And I did like the reboot God of War game, or the Norse God of War game, the first one. I did like it initially when it came out, but then after I played Ragnarok and saw all of the things that came up as a result, it's hard to excuse, because it makes it clear that from the start of the first game, the intention was to fridge Kratos. I could fix him. You guys are some of the silliest bastards I've ever seen. I'm just assuming that Jordan, Dave, and Kevin are teenagers. Because this gives Gen Z Gen Z dialogue to an extreme. It is funny though. But yeah, all right. So I've been on that rant too many times and too often. The point is that if you're going to take a franchise and you're going to make something new in it, it should at least in some way be reflective of the source material. And most of the time, that's not what happens. We saw that here. We saw that in the film for Eragon. It was not reflective of the source material in any way. It was a slapshot, very, very poorly and not caringly put together film. The new God of War series very clearly wants to capitalize off of the God of War name without having to make a God of War game. And again, we see this happen a lot. It's not the first franchise that this has happened to. I'm Dave's great grandfather. Yeah, I'm sure, Kevin. And I was born yesterday in an egg. And hatched in the froth of the northern sea, and then sang reality into existence. And my true name is Vainamoinen. Harry Potter was not true to the source material. I think that the first three films at least tried. The first three films at least tried to represent the source material, but everything after that absolutely was not trying at all. Now, given that what Harry Potter is an impressive feat all on its own, simply because they managed to put out 8 films pretty much year after year. Like every year and a half or so, they were putting out a Harry Potter film. And they did that consistently without interruption. And that's impressive. Just in and of itself, they managed a very high production series with very, very little delays. What are you learning about me, Clifford? Us old guys are lost on the gaming platform. You younger men should go outside and throw an axe or something. I do plenty of that. See, I actually take my son, we go out and we do archery, and we do boxing, and unfortunately we live in a city. I grew up in the countryside, so I'm used to taking care of animals and chopping wood and, caring for gardens and things like that. But here, where I live in the city now, it's not as much to do. So I do take my son to go do archery and whatnot. We do martial arts, we go to the gym. There's not a lot of physical things to do around here that won't cook you alive hiking up the side of a hill. I don't think she had finished the books either. Yeah, that is true. And it's also clear to me that J.K. Rowling sort of lost her passion for the series by the last 2 books. In my opinion, anyways. Thank you, Bear. I appreciate you, brother. Also, Castle, I'm wondering this. Why is my YouTube feed currently full of Spanish songs? Is Google listening? Probably. Oh, that you were born in it. When you make your tavern, please consider brewing your own mead. So I actually have several dozen family recipes for mead and for whiskey, as well as for lagers and blondes and so on. So when we do finally open the tavern doors, I will find somebody to brew those recipes, and we'll have them for the tavern. And if we get to the point where we can also open our artisan festivals village, we'll also do that as well. All right, friends, I think we're going to run ads real quick over on the Twitch setting, or over on the Twitch portal. and then once we're back, we'll get directly into Eragon. Uh, Kevin, Dave, and Jordan. I have a serious question for you guys. If you can answer a serious question, do you? Because I'm curious. Because every time you guys come in here, you have a preset series of things that you talk about. Do you pre-coordinate that, or do you guys go to a bunch of different channels and talk about the same nonsense? I'm curious how much coordination goes into your trolling. Because I was a troll for years. I used to make fun of people for doing dumb things all the time. It's how my career on the internet started. I was making fun of silly people and dumb people. So how much coordination goes into the trolling that you guys do when you come into chats? And do you just do it here, or do you do it in multiple places? And I'm not upset. This is the internet. You guys are kids. It's what happens. Kevin, come on. Come on now. Let's not lie to Papa Castle, alright? Sounds good. How old is your son? I have a good bow he might like if he's big enough to handle it. He is 16. He's not a big 16-year-old. He's about 5'6", probably. 5'5", 5'6", somewhere in there. I just try to ask questions. But you guys always have some nonsense that you are going on about. And again, don't get me wrong, I'm not upset. I'm not mad about it. As long as you guys stay appropriate, you can troll as much as you want. I don't have any particular feelings about it. I'm just curious if there's any coordination that goes into the topics, because every time it's a different topic. That's why I'm asking. Because again, I promise you, I'm not upset. Again, as long as it stays appropriate, you don't talk about anything that's gonna ruin anybody else's time. I don't particularly care what you guys talk about. It's the internet. It's to be expected. Kev is a sleeper agent. Being a big Godzilla fan, I'm excited about it, but I'm going to keep my expectations. Is there a new Godzilla film coming out? I've had mixed feelings about the new Godzilla series. I like Godzilla a lot. I've liked Godzilla since I was very young. Maddie, get your kids under control. Yeah, Maddie, we got some goblins over on YouTube who are being rowdy. I love Godzilla. I've loved Godzilla since I was a kid. Godzilla and cheesy martial arts flicks, I love, and I've loved them since I was a kid. Thank you, Frost. I appreciate you. All right, friends. Marvel or DC? I don't really like either anymore. But if we're talking about classic, say pre-2005, I was a big Marvel guy pre-2005. The writing in Marvel from 1990 up till, well, maybe a little bit later, whenever Thor the Unworthy finished its run. Thor the Unworthy was one of the best runs in... Thor the Unworthy and House of M were two of the best comic book runs that were ever made. I was 4 in 2005. Oh my lord, Aaron, no, thank you for making everybody feel old. I wasn't born during this time. Believe it or not, yeah, Frost, it's over 20 years ago at this point. It's over 20 years ago at this point. The newer ones need to give Godzilla more screen time. And I think that they focus too much on trying to make the lore of Godzilla deep when they don't really need that. I had my 20-year high school reunion at that time. Wow! That's insane, Frost. That is insane. I think that the designs for the monsters, I will give you that, Clifford. I think the designs for the monsters in the new Godzilla films are very good. I think they did a good job overall there. But I don't know how I feel about the story because a lot of it feels just sort of Howard the Duck. Yeah, Howard the Duck was around back in the glory era of comic books. A lot of the writing really fell off for Marvel and DC in like the 2010 and onward range. So I don't particularly care for anything that came after that point. But all right, friends, let's go ahead and get into it. We're gonna have a happy birthday for Erin in about 20 minutes. Okay, I'm gonna go find a cane to. All right, my friends, when we last left off, Eragon and his party had found themselves beneath the Bayor Mountains with the Varden. And they were in the Emerald City of the Dwarves, not Emerald City, I'm sorry, the Marble City of the Dwarves. And we're just about to meet the leader, the legendary leader of the rebellion, the Ajihad. So, yeah, well, that's the other thing, Jordan. What you say is a good point. A lot of the monsters in Godzilla are not supposed to die. That's one of the like charms of the Godzilla universe, is that these are sort of forces of nature. And the fact that they keep killing off these different monsters in the stories is bothersome to me. Okay, let us begin the next chapter of Eragon, Ajihad. Eragon entered an elegant two-story study paneled with rows of cedar bookshelves. A wrought iron staircase wound up to a small balcony with 2 chairs and a reading table. White lanterns hung along the walls and ceiling so a book could be read anywhere in the room. The stone floor was covered by an intricate oval rug. At that far end of the room, a man stood behind a large walnut desk. His skin gleamed the color of oiled ebony. The dome of his head was shaved bare, but a closely trimmed black beard covered his chin and upper lip. Strong features shadowed his face, and grave, intelligent eyes lurked under his brow. His shoulders were broad and powerful, emphasized by the tapered red vest embroidered with gold thread and clasped over a rich purple shirt. He bore himself with great dignity, exuding an intense, commanding air. When he spoke, his voice was strong, confident. Welcome to Trondheim. Eragon, Sophia, I am Ajihad. Please, seat yourselves. Eragon slipped into an armchair next to Murtaugh, while Saphira settled protectively behind him. Ajihad raised his hand and snapped his fingers. A man stepped out from behind the staircase. He was identical to the bald man beside him. Eragon stared at the two of them with surprise, and Murtaugh stiffened. Your confusion is understandable. We are twin brothers, said Ajihad with a small smile. I would tell you their names, but they have none. Saphira hissed with distaste. Ajihad watched her for a moment, then sat in a high-backed chair behind the desk. The twins retreated under the stairs and stood impassively beside each other. Ajihad pressed his fingers together as he stared at Eragon and Murtaugh. He studied them for a long time with an unwavering gaze. Eragon squirmed, uncomfortable. After what seemed like several minutes, Ajihad lowered his hands and beckoned the twins. One of them hurried to his side. Ajihad whispered in his ear. The bald man suddenly paled and shook his head vigorously. Ajihad frowned, then nodded as if something had been confirmed. He looked at Murtaugh. You have placed me in a difficult position by refusing to be examined. You have been allowed to enter Fathen Door because the twins have assured me that they can control you. Because of your actions on behalf of Eragon and Arya, I understand that there may be things you wish to keep hidden in your mind. But as long as you do, we cannot trust you. You wouldn't trust me anyway, said Murtaugh defiantly. Ajihad's face darkened as Murtaugh spoke, and his eyes flashed dangerously. Though it's been 23 years since it last broke upon my ears, I know that voice. He stood ominously, chest swelling. The twins looked alarmed and put their heads together, whispering frantically. It came from another man, one more beast than human. Get up! Murtaugh wearily complied, his eyes darting between the twins and Ajihad. Remove your shirt, ordered Ajihad. With a shrug, Murtaugh pulled off his tunic. Now turn around. As he pivoted to the side, light fell upon the scar on his back. Murtaugh, breathed Ajihad. A grunt of surprise came from Auric. Without warning, Ajihad turned to the twins and thundered. Did you know of this? The twins bowed their heads. We discovered his name in Eragon's mind, but we did not suspect that this boy was the son of the powerful Mozan. It never occurred. And you didn't tell me, demanded Ajihad. He raised a hand forestalling their explanation. We will discuss this later. He faced Murtaugh again. First, I must untangle this muddle. Do you still refuse to be probed? Yes, said Murtaugh sharply, slipping back into his tunic. I won't let anyone inside my head. Ajihad leaned on his desk. There will be unpleasant consequences for you if you don't. Unless the twins can certify that you aren't a threat, we cannot give you credence, despite, and perhaps because of, the assistance you have given Eragon. Without that verification, the people here, dwarf and human alike, will tear you apart if they learn of your presence. I will be forced to keep you confined at all times, as much for your protection as for ours. It will only get worse once the Dwarf King, Hrothgar, demands custody of you. Don't force yourself into that situation when it can be easily avoided. Murtaugh shook his head stubbornly. No, even if I were to submit, I would still be treated like a leper and an outcast. All I wish is to leave. If you let me do that peacefully, I'll never reveal your location to the Empire. What will happen if you are captured and brought before Galbatorix? Demanded Ajihad. He will extract every secret from your mind, no matter how strong you may be. Even if you could resist him, how can we trust that you won't rejoin him in the future? I cannot take that chance. Will you hold me as prisoner forever? Demanded Murtaugh, straightening. No, said Ajihad. Only until you let yourself be examined. If you are found trustworthy, the twins will remove all knowledge of Fathen Door's location from your mind before you leave. We won't risk someone with those memories falling into Galbatorix's hands. What will it be, Murtaugh? Decide quickly, or else the path will be chosen for you. Just give in. Eragon pleaded silently, concerned for Murtaugh's safety. It's not worth the fight. Finally, Murtaugh spoke, the words slow and distinct. My mind is the one sanctuary that has not been stolen from me. Men have tried to breach it before, but I've learned to defend it vigorously. For I'm only safe with my innermost thoughts. You have asked for the one thing I cannot give, least of all to those two. He gestured at the twins. Do with me what you will. I know this. Death will take me before I'll expose myself to their probing. Admiration glinted in Ajihad's eyes. I am not surprised by your choice, though I had hoped otherwise. Guards! The cedar door slammed open as warriors rushed in, weapons ready. Ajihad pointed to Murtaugh and commanded, Take him to a windowless room, and bar the door securely. Post 6 men by the entrance, and allow no one inside to come to see him. Do not speak to him either. The warriors surrounded Murtaugh, watching him suspiciously. As they left the study, Eragon caught Murtaugh's attention and mouthed, I'm sorry. Murtaugh shrugged, and then stared forward resolutely. He vanished into the hallway with the men. The sound of their feet faded into silence. Ajihad said abruptly, I want everyone out of this room, but Eragon and Saphira, now! Bowing, the twins departed, but Oryx said, Sir, the king will want to know of Murtaugh, and there is still the matter of my insubordination. Ajihad frowned, then waved his hand. I will tell Hrothgar myself. As for your actions, wait outside until I call for you. And don't let the twins get away. I'm not done with him either. Very well, said Oryx, inclining his head, and he closed the door with a solid thump. Yeah, everyone get a glass and fill it. It's going to be Erin's birthday in 9 minutes. And we'll all raise a glass. After a long silence, the Ajihad sat with a tired sigh. He ran a hand over his face and stared at the ceiling. Eragon waited impatiently for him to speak, and when nothing was forthcoming, he blurted, Is Arya all right? Ajihad looked down at him and said gravely, No, but the healers tell me she will recover. They worked on her all through the night. The poison took a dreadful toll on her. She wouldn't have lived if not for you. For that, you have the Varden's deepest thanks. Eragon's shoulders slumped with relief. For the first time, he felt that their flight from Gilead had been worth the effort. So, what now? He asked. I need you to tell me how you found Saphira, and everything that's happened since, said Ajihad, forming a steeple with his fingers. Some of it I know from a message Brom sent us, other parts from the twins. I want to hear it from you, especially the details concerning Brom's death. Eragon was reluctant to share his experiences with a stranger, but Ajihad was patient. Go on, urged Saphira gently. Eragon shifted and then began his story. It was awkward at first, but grew easier as he proceeded. Saphira helped him to remember things clearly with occasional comments. Ajihad listened intently the entire time. Eragon talked for hours, often pausing between his words. He told Ajihad of Teir, though he kept Angela's fortune-telling to himself, and how he and Brom had found the Razak. He even related his dreams of Arya. When he came to Gilead and mentioned the shade, Argiad's face hardened, and he leaned back with veiled eyes. When his narrative was complete, Eragon fell silent, brooding on all that had occurred. Argiad stood and clasped his hands behind his back, and absently studied one of the bookshelves. After a time, he returned to the desk. Brom's death is a terrible loss. He was a very close friend of mine, and a powerful ally of the Varden. He saved us from destruction many times through his bravery and intelligence. Even now, when he is gone, he has provided us with the one thing that can ensure our success. You. But what can you expect me to accomplish? Asked Eragon. I will explain it in full, said Argiad. But there are more urgent matters to be dealt with first. The news of the Ergo's alliance with the Empire is extremely serious. If Galbatorix is gathering an Ergal army to destroy us, the Varden will be hard-pressed to survive, even though many of us are protected here in Farthendor. That a rider, even one as evil as Galbatorix, would consider a pact with such monsters is indeed proof of madness. I shudder to think of what he promised them in return for their fickle loyalty. And then there is the Shade. Can you describe him? Eragon nodded. He was tall, thin, and very pale, with red eyes and hair, and he dressed all in black. What of his sword? Did you see it? Asked Argiad intensely. Did it have a long scratch on the blade? Yes, said Eragon, surprised. How did you know? Because I put it there while I was trying to cut out his heart, said Argiad with a grim smile. His name is Darza, one of the most vicious and cunning fiends to ever stalk this land. He is the perfect servant of Galbatorix, but a dangerous enemy for us. You say that you killed him. How was it done? Eragon remembered it vividly. Murtaugh shot him twice. The first arrow caught him in the shoulder, and the second struck him between the eyes. I was afraid of that, said the Argiad, frowning. You didn't kill him. Shades can only be destroyed by a thrust through the heart. Anything short of that will cause them to vanish and reappear elsewhere in spirit form. It is an unpleasant process, but Darza will survive and return stronger than ever. Bobby, hello and welcome in. A moody silence settled over them for a foreboding thunderhead. Like a foreboding thunderhead. Then Argiad stated, You are an enigma, Eragon. A quandary that no one knows how to solve. Everyone knows what the Varden want. Or the Urgles, or even Galbatorix. But no one knows what you want. And that makes you dangerous, especially to Galbatorix. He fears you because he doesn't know what you will do next. Did the Varden fear me? Asked Eragon quietly. No, said Argiad carefully. You're hopeful. But if that hope proves false, then yes, we will be afraid. Eragon looked down. You must understand the unusual nature of your position. There are factions who want you to serve their interests and no one else's. The moment you entered Farthendor, their influence and power began tugging on you. Including yours, asked Eragon. Argiad chuckled though his eyes were sharp. Including mine. There are certain things you should know. First, his House of Irisake happened to appear in the spine. Did Brom ever tell you that what was done with her egg after he brought it here? No, said Eragon, glancing at Saphira. She blinked and flicked her tongue at him. Okay, we're going to pause there for a second, friends. Since Erin's birthday is fast approaching, we want to all have our mugs ready for when she is set. To suddenly age. All right. We are at 8:59. I have the fireworks ready, Castle. They haven't been safety tested, though. Those are the best kind. If you're at risk of losing a finger, you know you're about to have a good time. That's usually how it goes. I'll be a quarter into my life. Oh, how old are you? How old are you turning, Aaron? How old is Aaron turning, Lovey? 25. You're gonna live to 100 years old? That's a long life. And there it goes. Happy birthday to Erin. May she live long. May she have many a good drink, many a good friend, and many a good day. Sláinte. And now, we'll get straight back in to the story. Ayame! I didn't even see that you followed. Welcome into the tavern, my friend. So very glad that you could join us. You have marked the tavern on your map. You should be able to find your way back the next time that you seek a story. And now we're going to get right back into Eragon, because we are in a tense moment. Nilu fell asleep. That's all right. That's all right. How does it feel to be negative 75? All right. No, said Eragon, glancing at Saphira. She blinked and flicked her tongue at him. Ajihad tapped his desk before beginning. When Brom first brought the egg to the Varden, everyone was deeply interested in its fate. We had thought dragons were exterminated. The dwarves were solely concerned with making sure the future rider would be an ally, though some were opposed to having no rider at all. While the elves and the Varden are at a more personal stake in the matter. The reason was simple enough. Throughout history, all riders have been either elven or human, with the majority being elven. There has never been a dwarf rider. Because of Galbatoric's betrayal, the elves were reluctant to let the Varden handle the egg for fear that the dragon inside would hatch for a human with similar instabilities. It was a challenging situation, as both sides wanted the rider for their own. The dwarves only aggravated the problem by arguing ostentatiously that both the elves and us, whenever they had the chance. Tensions escalated, and before long, threats were made that were later regretted. It was then that Brom suggested a compromise that allowed all sides to save face. He proposed that the egg be ferried between the Varden and the elves every year. At each place, children would parade past it, and when the bearers of the egg would wait to see if the dragon would hatch. If it didn't, they would leave and return to the other group. But if the dragon did hatch, the new rider's training would be undertaken immediately. And the first year or so, he would be instructed here by Brom. Then the rider would be taken to the elves, who would finish the education. The elves reluctantly accepted this plan, with the stipulation that if Brom were to die before the dragon hatched, they would be free to train the new rider without interference. The agreement was slanted in their favor. We both knew that the dragon would likely choose an elf, but it proved a desperately needed semblance of equality. Rudyard paused, his rich eyes somber. Shadows bit into his face under his cheekbones, making them jut out. It was hoped that this new rider would bring our two races closer together. We waited for well over a decade. The egg never hatched. The matter passed from our minds. We rarely thought about it, except to lament the egg's inactivity. Then last year we suffered a terrible loss. Arya and the egg disappeared on their return from Trondheim to the elven city of Osilon. The elves were the first to discover she was missing. They found her steed and guards slain in Veldenwaden, and a group of slaughtered Urgers nearby. But neither Arya nor the egg was there. When this news reached me, I feared that Urgers had taken both of them, and would soon learn the location of Hardendur, the elves' capital, and its where their queen, Islanzadi, lives. Now I understand that they were working for the Empire, which is far worse. We don't know exactly what occurred during that attack until Arya awakes, but I have deduced a few details from what you have said. Rudyard's vest rustled as he leaned his elbows on the desk. The attack must have been swift and decisive, else Arya would have escaped. Without any warning, deprived of a place to hide. She could have done only one thing: use magic to transport the egg elsewhere. She can use magic, asked Eragon. Arya had mentioned that she had been given a drug to suppress her power. He wanted to confirm that she meant magic. He wondered if she could teach him more words from the ancient language. It was one of the reasons why she was chosen to guard the egg. Anyways, Arya couldn't have returned it to us. She was too far away, and the elves' realm is warded by arcane barriers that prevent anything from entering their borders through magical means. She must have thought of Brom, and in desperation, sent the egg toward Carvajal. Without time to prepare, I'm not surprised she missed by the margin she did. The twins tell me it is an imprecise art. Why was she closer to the Palancar Valley than the Vard? Asked Eragon. Where do the elves really live? Where is this Elismera? Ajihad's keen gaze bored into Eragon as he considered the question. I don't tell you this lightly, for the elves guard the knowledge jealously. But you should know, and I do this as a display of trust, that their cities lie far to the north, the deepest reaches of the endless forest, the Weldenwarden. Not since the rider's time has anyone, dwarf or human, been elf friend enough to walk to their leafy halls. I do not even know where to find Elismera. As for Osilion, based on where Arya disappeared, I suspect it is near the Weldenwarden's western edge, toward Carvajal. You must have many other questions, but bear with me and keep them until I have finished. He gathered his memories and then spoke at a quickened pace. When Arya disappeared, the elves withdrew their support from the Varden. Queen Islanzadi was especially enraged and refused any further contact with us. As a result, even though I received Brom's message, the elves are still ignorant of you and Saphira. Without their supplies to sustain my troops, we have fared badly these past months in skirmishes with the Empire. With Arya's return and your arrival, I expect the Queen's hostilities will abate. The fact that you rescued Arya will greatly help our case with her. Your training, however, is going to present a problem for both the Varden and the elves. Brom obviously had a chance to teach you, but we need to know how thorough he was. For that reason, you'll have to be tested to determine the extent of your abilities. Also, the elves would expect you to finish your training with him. though I'm not sure if there's time for that. Why not? Asked Eragon. For several reasons, chief among them, your tidings you brought about Argos, said Archie Hart, his eyes straying to Zephyra. You see, Eragon, the Varden are in an extremely delicate position. On one hand, we have to comply with Eo's wishes if we want to keep them as allies. At the same time, we cannot anger the dwarves if we wish to lodge in Trondheim. Aren't the dwarves a part of the Var? Asked Eragon. Thuglander, hello, hello. It is indeed story time. Grab a seat, fill your tankard. Welcome in. Erin, are you off to bed? If so, good night, rest well, and happy birthday. Castle, I have good news, and I'm glad to have caught story time. I've been extremely busy because, on top of work, I have now started going back to college to get my bachelor's in business. It's been a lot of work. Well, that is good news. Congratulations. Is there other news beyond going back to college? That already in itself is big news. I hope that you find it fulfilling and you get out of it what you like. And we're glad that you caught story time as well. I shall get comfy. That's the best way to do it. We've got about another hour and a half, 2 hours of story time left. Alright, let's continue. Where was I? Ajihad hesitated. In a sense, yes. They allow us to live here and provide assistance in our struggle against the Empire. But they are loyal only to their king. I have no power over them, except for what Hrothgar gives me. And even he often has trouble with the dwarf clans. The 13 clans are subservient to Hrothgar, but each clan chief wields enormous power. They choose the new dwarf king when the old one dies. Hrothgar is sympathetic to our cause, but many of the chiefs aren't. We can't afford to anger them unnecessarily, or he'll lose support of his people. So his actions on our behalf have been severely circumscribed. These clan chiefs, said Eragon, are they against me as well? Even more so, I'm afraid. The Ajihad said wearily. There has long been enmity between dwarves and dragons. Therefore, elves came and made peace. Dragons made a regular habit of eating the dwarves' flocks, stealing their gold. And the dwarves are slow to forget past wrongs. Indeed, they never fully accepted the riders, or allowed them to police their kingdom. Galbatorix's rise to power has only served to convince them that it would be better never to deal with the riders or dragons ever again. He directed his last words at Zephyra. Eragon said slowly, why doesn't Galbatorix know where Farthendor and Elismera are? Surely he was told of them when he was instructed by the riders. Told of them, yes. Shown where they are, no. It's one thing to know that Farthendor lies within these mountains. Quite another to find it. Galbatorix hadn't been taken to either place before his dragon was killed. After that, of course, the riders didn't trust him. He tried to force the information out of several riders during his rebellion, but they chose to die rather than reveal it to him. As for the dwarves, he's never managed to capture one alive, though it is only a matter of time. Then why doesn't he just take an army and march through the Weldenvarden until he finds Elismer? Asked Eragon. Because the elves still have enough power to resist him, said Ajihad. He doesn't dare test his strength against theirs, at least not yet. But his cursed sorcery grows stronger each year. With another rider at his side, he would be unstoppable. He's trying to get one of his 2 eggs to hatch. So far, he's been unsuccessful. Eragon was puzzled. How can his power be increasing? The strength of his body limits his abilities. It can't build itself up forever. We don't know, said Ajihad, shrugging his broad shoulders. And neither do the elves. We can only hope that someday he will be destroyed by one of his own spells. He reached inside his vest and somberly pulled out a battered piece of parchment. Do you know what this is? He asked, placing it on the desk. He bent forward and examined it. Lines of black script written in an alien language were inked across the paper. Large sections of the writing had been destroyed by blots of blood. On the edge of the parchment was charred. He shook his head. No, I don't. It was taken from the leader of the Eragon host we destroyed last night. It cost us 12 men to do so. They sacrificed themselves so you might escape safely. This writing is the king's invention, a script he uses to communicate with his servants. It took me a while, but I was able to devise its meaning where it's legible. It reads, Gatekeeper at Ithrozada, to let this bearer and his minions pass. They are to be bunked with the others of their kind and by. But only if the two factions refrain from fighting. Command will be given under Tarak, under Gazish, under Durza, and under Ushnak the Mighty. Ushnak is Galvatorix, it means father, in the Urgel tongue, an affectation that pleases him. Find what they are suitable for, and the footmen are to be kept separate. No weapons are to be distributed until for marching. Nothing else can be read past there, except for a few vague words, said Ajihad. Where is Ithrozada? I've never heard of him. Nor have I, confirmed Ajihad. Which makes me suspect that Galvatorix has renamed an existing place for his own purposes. After deciphering this, I asked myself what hundreds of Urgels were doing by the Beor Mountains, where you first saw them, and where they were going. The parchment mentions others of their kind, so I assume there are even more Urgels at their destination. There's only one reason for the king to gather such a force: to forge a bastard army of humans and monsters to destroy us. For now, there is nothing to do but wait and watch. Without further information, we cannot find this Ithrozada. Still, Fathendur has not been discovered, so there is hope. The only Urgels that have seen it died last night. How did you know we were coming? Asked Eragon. One of the twins was waiting for us, and there was an ambush in place for the call. He was aware of Saphira listening intently, though she had kept her own counsel. He knew that she would have things to say later. We have sentinels placed at the entrance of the valley you traveled through, on either side of the Beartooth River. They sent a dove to warn us, explained Ajihad. Eragon wondered if it was the same bird Saphira had tried to eat. When the egg in Arya disappeared, did you tell... When the egg in Arya disappeared, did you tell Brom? He said that he hadn't heard anything from the Vard. We tried to alert him, said Ajihad, but I suspect our men were intercepted and killed by the Empire. Why else would the Razak have gone to Carvajal after that? Brom was traveling with you. It was impossible to get word to him. I was relieved when he contacted me via messenger from Teum. It didn't surprise me that he went to Jehud. They were old friends, and Jehud could easily send us a message because he smuggled supplies to us through Serda. All of this has raised the serious questions. How did the Empire know to ambush Arya and, later, our messengers to Carvajal? How has Galbatorix learned which merchants helped the Varden? Jehud's business has been virtually destroyed since you left him. And have those other merchants who support us, every time one of their ships set sail, it disappears. The dwarves cannot give us everything we need, So the Varden are in desperate need of supplies. I'm afraid we have a traitor, or traitors in our midst, despite our efforts to examine people's minds for deceit. Eragon sank deep in thought, pondering what he had learned. Ajihad waited calmly for him to speak, undisturbed by the silence. For the first time since finding Saphira's egg, Eragon felt that he understood what was going on around him. At last, he knew where Saphira had come from and what might lie in his future. "What do you want from me?" he asked. "How do you mean?" "I mean, what is it you expect of me in Trondheim? You know the elves have plans for me, but what if I don't like them?" A hard note crept into his voice. "I'll fight when needed, revel when there's occasion, mourn when there is grief, and die if my time comes. But I won't let anyone use me against my will." He paused to let the words sink in. The riders of old were arbiters of justice above and beyond the leaders of their time. I don't claim that position. I doubt people would accept such oversight when they've been free of it all their lives, especially from one as young as me. But I do have power, and I will wield it as I see fit. What I want to know is how you plan to use me, and I will decide whether to agree to it. Ajihad looked at him wryly. "If you were anyone else, and were before another leader, you would have likely been killed for that insolent speech. What makes you think I will expose my plans just because you demand it?" Eragon flushed but did not lower his gaze. "Still, you are right. Your position gives you the privilege to say such things. You cannot escape the politics of your situation. You will be influenced, one way or another. I don't want to see you become a pawn of any one group or purpose any more than you do. You must retain your freedom, for in it lies your true power. The ability to make choices independent of any leader or king. My own authority over you will be limited. But I believe it is for the best. The difficulty lies in making sure that those with power include you in their deliberations. Also, despite your protests, the people here have certain expectations of you. They are going to bring you their problems, no matter how petty, and demand that you solve them." Ajihad leaned forward, his voice deadly serious. "There will be cases where someone's future will rest in your hands. With a word, you can send them careening into happiness or misery. Young women will seek your opinion on whom they should marry. Many will pursue you as a husband. And old men will ask which of their children should receive inheritance. You must be kind and wise with them all. They put their trust in you. Don't speak flippantly or without thought, because your words will have an impact far beyond what you intend." Ajihad leaned back, his eyes hooded. "The burden of leadership is being responsible for the well-being of the people in your charge. I have dealt with it from the day I was chosen to head the Varden. And now you must as well. Be careful. I won't tolerate injustice under my command. Don't worry about your youth and inexperience. They will pass soon enough." Eragon was uncomfortable with the idea of people asking him for advice. "But you still haven't said what I'm to do here." Hannah, hello! It has been a while since you were last in. It's good to see you. Oh, I bumbled. Oh no. Hang on. I wasn't paying attention. Oops. Hang on a second, guys. I overfilled my tankard. Too much agua. Oops. I was reading chat, I wasn't paying attention. That's my fault. I am a silly goose. Hear me honk. Marie Antoinette, hello, hello. Good to see you. Welcome in. For now, nothing. You covered 130 leagues in 8 days. A feat to be proud of. I'm sure that you'll appreciate rest. When you've recovered, we will test your competency in arms and magic. After that, well, I will explain your options, and then you will have to decide your course. And what about Myrtle? Said Eragon bitingly. Ajad's face darkened, and he reached beneath his desk and lifted up Zara. The sword's polished sheath gleamed in the light, and Ajad slid his hand over it, lingering on the etched sigil. He will stay here until he allows the twins into his mind. You can't imprison him, argued Eragon. He's committed no crime. We can't give him his freedom without being sure he won't turn against us. Innocent or not, he's potentially as dangerous to us as his father was, said Ajihad with a hint of sadness. Eragon realized that Ajihad would not be convinced otherwise, and his concern was valid. How were you able to recognize his voice? I met his father once, said Ajihad shortly. He tapped Zorok's hilt. I wish Brom had told me he had taken Morzan's sword. I suggest that you don't carry it within Father Endor. When you hear, remember Morzan's name with hate, especially the dwarves. I'll remember that, promised Eragon. Ajihad handed Zorok to him. That reminds me, I have Brom's ring, which he sent as confirmation of his identity. I was keeping it for when he returned to Trondheim. Now that he's dead, I suppose it belongs to you, and I think he would have wanted you to have it. He opened the desk drawer and took the ring from it. Eragon accepted it with reverence. The symbol cut into the face of the sapphire was identical to the tattoo on Arya's shoulder. He fit the ring onto his index finger, admiring how it caught the light. I'm honored, he said. Ajihad nodded gravely, and he pushed back his chair and stood. He faced Saphira and spoke to her, his voice swelling in power. Do not think that I have forgotten you, almighty dragon. I have said these things as much for your benefit as Eragon's. It is even more important that you know them. For to you falls the task of guarding him in these dangerous times. Do not underestimate your might, nor falter at his side, because without you, he will surely fail. Saphira lowered her head until her eyes were level and stared at him through slitted black pupils. They examined each other silently, neither of them blinking. Ajihad was the first to move. He lowered his eyes and said softly, "It is indeed a privilege to meet you." "He'll do," said Saphira respectfully. She swung her head to face Eragon. "Tell him that I am both impressed with Trondheim and with him. The Empire is right to fear him. Let him know, however, that if he had decided to kill you, I would have destroyed Trondheim and torn him apart with my teeth." Eragon hesitated, surprised by the venom in her voice, then relayed the message. Ajihad looked at her seriously. "I would have expected nothing less from one so noble, but I doubt that you would have gotten past the twins." Saphira snorted in derision. Bah! Knowing what she meant, Eragon said, "Then they must be much stronger than they appear. I think they would be sorely dismayed if they ever faced the dragon's wrath. The two of them might be able to defeat me, but never Saphira. You should know a rider's dragon strengthens his magic beyond what a normal magician might have. Brom was always weaker than me because of that. I think that in the absence of riders, the twins may have overestimated their power. Ajihad looked troubled. Brom was considered one of our strongest spellweavers. Only the elves surpassed him. If what you say is true, we'll have to reconsider a great many things. He bowed to Saphira. As it is, I'm glad it wasn't necessary to harm either of you. Saphira dipped her head in return. Ajihad straightened with a lordly air and called, Orik! The dwarf returned into the room and stood at the desk, crossing his arms. Ajihad frowned at him, irritated. You've caused me a great deal of trouble, Orik. I've had to listen to one of the twins complain all morning about your insubordination. They won't let it rest until you are punished. Unfortunately, they're right. It's a serious matter that cannot be ignored. An accounting is due. Oric's eyes flickered toward Eragon, but his face betrayed no emotion. He spoke quickly in rough tones. The Cole were almost around Koth's Manor. They were shooting arrows at the dragon, Eragon and Murtaugh, but the twins did nothing to stop it, like Shelvin. They refused to open the gates, even though we could see Eragon shouting the open phrase on the other side of the waterfall. They refused to take action when Eragon did not rise from the water. Perhaps I did wrong, but I could not let a rider die. I wasn't strong enough to get myself out of the water, offered Eragon. I would have drowned if he hadn't pulled me out. Ajihad glanced at him and then asked Orik seriously. Later, why did you oppose them? Orik raised his chin defiantly. It wasn't right for them to force their way into Marthau's mind. But I wouldn't have stopped them if I'd known who he was. No, you did the right thing. But it would be simpler if you hadn't. It isn't our place to force our way into people's minds no matter who they are. Ajihad fingered his dense beard. Your actions were honourable, but you did defy a direct order from your commander. The penalty for that has always been death. Oric's back stiffened. You can't kill him for that. He was only helping me, cried Eragon. It isn't your place to interfere, said Ajihad sternly. Oric broke the law and must suffer the consequences. Eragon started to argue again, but Ajihad stopped him with a raised hand. But you are right. The sentence will be mitigated because of the circumstances. As of now, Oric, you are removed from active service and forbidden to engage in military activities under my command. Do you understand? Oric's face darkened, and then he looked confused. He nodded sharply. Yes. Furthermore, in the absence of your regular duties, I appoint you Eragon and Saphira's guide for the duration of their stay. You are to make sure they receive every comfort and amenity we have to offer. Saphira may be led above to East Army 3. Eragon may have quarters wherever he wants. When he recovers from his trip, take him to the training fields. They're expecting him, said Ajihad, and a twinkle of amusement in his eye. Oric bowed low. I understand. Very well. You all may go. Send in the twins as you leave. Eragon bowed and began to leave, and then asked, Where can I find Arya? I would like to see her. No one is allowed to visit her. You will have to wait until she comes to you. Ajihad looked down at his desk in clear dismissal. And so ends the chapter of Ajihad. Damn, that was a long one. Let's see, how much longer do we have? When's the next chapter? Oh, we could probably do that. Next chapter is 12 pages long. Exactly. Crystal, hello. Good to see you. Welcome in. Chicken Nugget Official. Hey, I just wanted to wish you a very happy birthday. Well, it's not my birthday, Nugget. It is Erin's birthday, but I appreciate you coming in to wish Erin a happy birthday. Oh man, we ended the chapter right at the perfect time. So, before I put us into ads, my friends, should we do another chapter? Before I send the Twitch friends into ads, do we want one more chapter this fine evening? I will leave it up to all of you. Two best barkeeps in the house, on top of it. I find it funny, I had to edit book 3, now I officially have a version of Seshoseki. Greetings and regards to wherever you are. I bring tidings from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I look forward to some fellowship. Tristan, hello and welcome in. I am Castle. This is my tavern. Here we talk about myth and lore and tales of yore. And every now and again, I read you all a bedtime story. Tonight we are in the midst of Eragon, and on Thursday we will be back into the depths of the Dragon and the George. But you have found your way into a tavern at the end of the world, where all stories eventually come to rest. And you found your way here because you sought a story. Always up for another chapter as long as you're the one reading. Mike, I appreciate you for that. Thank you kindly. I would enjoy more reading, then we'll have it. Alright, let's run 3 minutes of ads for our friends over on Twitch. You'll have to sit through them for 3 minutes, but when they are done, we'll have an hour without them. Twitch makes us run them. I do apologize. It is unfortunately a part of the modern zeitgeist of these portals online. But my friends, we will be right back. So, I do not remember this Ajihad scene at all from the last time I read this book. Actually, I don't remember most of the end of the book. I remember all the way up to when Brom dies. And that's as far as I remember in the book. For some reason in my head, that's where the book ended. But we're going to see Eragon recover. And then we're going to very likely see him be reunited with Arya, which is... Crystal used to live in Calgary. Interesting. Although, yeah, the death of Brom was a bookmark for me as well. Yeah, it is wild to me how much there is beyond that in the story. I do remember him meeting Myrtle, but for some reason in my mind, him meeting Myrtle happened, like, just after Brom died, which technically it did. And then the story carried on in the next book. I don't know why that's where my brain remembers, but that's what I remember. Matty says, I live in British Columbia and... Not British Columbia... Yeah, British Columbia, is that right? BC? And in the process of finding a place to move out of BC, Ontario is the top choice, with Alberta in close second. From my understanding, the housing market in Canada is in shambles. As of right now, it's worse than the US from the numbers that I've seen. In the US housing market has been dreadful for ages. But I was seeing, there's a guy on TikTok who does a really hilarious series called A Castle or a House in Canada. And the series is him showing actual European castles that you can buy for the same price as, like, shacks in Canada. It's very funny. If you've never seen it, look it up. It is quite entertaining. The man shows these absolutely stunning, like, British and Spanish and French and Irish and Scottish castles. And then he'll show like a shack. One of the funniest ones I saw was it was a spite house that was built in Alberta, I think. And the house is literally like 10 feet wide through the entire house. It is a 4-story house that is only 10 feet wide in Alberta, Canada. It is very funny. if you've not encountered him, maybe I'll find him. I'll put him up over in the guild, so that everybody can get a view of it, because it is very funny. We do have a house for wilderness. We need to ride our dog sleds from our igloos and fight off polar bears and beavers. Honestly, if that were the truth, Maddie, that would probably be a better outcome than what the current reality of the Canadian housing market is. Yeah, well, now in fairness, Bear, the Australian housing market has been in shambles for like 30 years. The Australia has made terrible, like, I know that there are different states in Australia, but Australia as a country has done absolutely dreadful things to people's ability to build, because Australia was one of the first countries to get on that like net zero green bollocks that all of these countries do, and then none of it is actually doing anything. And one of the first things that got axed in Australia was building houses. Well, the funny thing is that it's usually something that is very, very expensive. It's usually something that's like $1.2 million. And for like $1.2 million, you can get a Spanish castle in the south of Spain. Or you can get a 1,400 square foot drug house in Ontario, Canada. The man is brilliant with the way he presents it. It is very good. It is very good. Yeah, no, I'm not even joking. One of them it literally had in the pictures for the listing. So he found a castle, like a small castle that was in France somewhere. That needed some renovation. It wasn't perfect. It needed some renovation, but it was a very pretty old, like Victorian French stone house. And it was on the market for like $800,000. And the pictures for this house in Ontario, and I swear to you, it had to have been like a flop house. There was literally a mattress that somebody had lit on fire that was in the photographs for the listing of the house in Ontario, and they were charging $850,000 for this house in Ontario. It's just absolutely insane. So true, I would consider building a home here in Alberta out of cardboard. The housing is terrible. I spend time learning bushcraft. You'd probably be better off, though. They would probably, from what I understand about the regulations in Canada, they're even worse than they are in the US, and they would end up charging you, $800,000 in fines and licensing just to be able to build your ramshackle house out of cardboard in Ontario. Frost, I appreciate you coming into 10 Bar, my friend. I hope that you have a good night. I hope you rest well. And I hope you rise tomorrow ready to face the day. And I will see you on Thursday, my friend. I'm in upstate New York. We get our cobra chickens and those trumpet geese that tried to murk me over the face. Geese are one of the most nasty creatures on the planet. But if you can tame them, they're better than guard dogs. And they eat snakes. Castle, may I interest you in purchasing an albino man-eating dogs? They're great for house security, no refunds though. I won't buy anything without a refund policy, Matty. So much has been butchered here. Our car industry, for example, is almost non-existent. I could go on for hours on much of the things that have been stuffed up. It's wild to me. Like, I think that the harsh living conditions of Australia have made Australians far too tolerant of being uncomfortable. Because, good lord, like America has, like every country in the world has its problems. America has a bunch of stuff with its housing market and its building market and its industrial market that all have problems. But some of the things I see, like in Ireland, it's impossible to build a house in Ireland. You can't build one in Ireland. And Australia has just been put under the knife constantly to make its people more uncomfortable and more make their lives more difficult. It's insane. We're about due for another worldwide tea party, is all I'm gonna say. I don't want to get banned off of the platforms, but we're about due for a worldwide tea party, is all I'm gonna say. Yeah, well, and out here in Los Angeles, Matty, if you can find something that's $2,000 a month, that's usually like a one bedroom maybe, but usually that's like a studio. I'd sell you an Australian prison deer, but that's I'm too northern. All right, friends, let's get back into. We're gonna finish this chapter, and then I'm gonna send you all off to bed. Bless the child, Ag Lam. Eragon stretched in the hall. He was stiff from sitting so long. Behind him, the twins entered Ajihad's study and closed the door. Eragon looked at Oryx. I'm sorry that you got in trouble because of me. He apologized. Don't bother yourself, grunted Oryx, tugging on his beard. Ajihad gave me what I wanted. Saphira was startled by the statement. Even Saphira was startled by the statement. What do you mean? Said Eragon. You can't train or fight and you're stuck guarding me. How can that be what you wanted? The dwarf eyed him quietly. Ajihad is a good leader. He understands how to keep the law yet remain just. I've been punished by his command, but I'm also one of Hrothgar's subjects. Under his rule, I'm still free to do as I wish. Eragon realized it would be unwise to forget Oryx's dual loyalty and the split nature of the power within Trondheim. Ajihad just placed you in a powerful position, didn't he? Oryx chuckled deeply. That he did. And in such a way that the twins can't complain about it. This'll irritate them for sure. Ajihad's a tricky one, he is. Come, lad. I'm sure you're hungry. And we have to get your dragon settled in. Saphira hissed, and Eragon said, her name is Saphira. Oryx made a small bow to her. My apologies. I'll be sure to remember that. He took an orange lamp from the wall and led them down the hallway. Can others in Fathentor use magic? Said Eragon, struggling to keep up with the dwarf's brisk pace. He cradled Zarok carefully, concealing the symbol on its sheath with his arm. Few enough, said Oryx with a swift shrug of it under his mail. And the ones we have can't do much more than heal bruises. They've all had to tend to Arya because of the strength needed to heal her. Except for the twins. Oi, grumbled Oryx. She wouldn't want their help anyways. Their arts are not for healing. Their talents lie in scheming and plotting for power. To everyone else's detriment. Daenor, Ajihad's predecessor, allowed them to join the Varen because they need their support. You can't oppose the Empire without spellcasters who can hold their own on the battlefield. They're a nasty pair, but they do have their uses. They entered one of the 4 main tunnels that divided Trondheim. Clusters of dwarves and humans strolled through it, voices echoing loudly off the polished floor. The conversation stopped abruptly as they saw Saphira, scores of eyes fixed on her. Oryx ignored the spectators and turned left, heading toward one of Trondheim's distant gates. Where are we going? Asked Eragon. Out of these holes so Saphira can fly to the dragon hold above Istar Mount Mithrin, the Star Rose. The dragon hold doesn't have a roof, and Trondheim's peak is open to the sky, like that of Fathentor. So that is you, Saphira, will be able to guide straight down into the hold. That's where the riders used to stay when they'd visited Trondheim. Won't it be cold and damp without a roof? Nay, Oryx shook his head. Fathentor protects us from the elements. Neither rain nor snow intrude here. Besides, the hole's walls are lined with marble caves for dragons. They provide all the shelter necessary. All you need to fear is the icicles when they fall. They've been known to cleave a horse in two, I will be fine, assured Zavira. A marble cave is safer than any of the other places we've stayed. Perhaps. Do you think Myrtle will be all right? Ajihad strikes me as an honourable man. Unless Murtaugh tries to escape, I doubt he will be harmed. Eragon crossed his arms, unwilling to talk further. He was dazed by the change in circumstances from days before. Their mad race from Gilead was finally over, but his body expected to continue running and riding. Where are our horses? In the stables by the gate. We can visit them before leaving Trondheim. They exited Trondheim through the same gate that they had entered. The gold griffins gleamed with coloured highlights, garnered from scores of lanterns. The sun had moved during Eragon's talk with Ajihad. Light no longer entered Farthendur. Through the cratered opening. Without those moted rays, the inside of the hollow mountain was velvety black. The only illumination came from Trondheim, which sparkled brilliantly in the gloom. The city mountain's radiance was enough to brighten the ground hundreds of feet away. Ulrich pointed at Trondheim's white pinnacle. Fresh meat and pure mountain water await you up there, he told Zafira. You may stay in any of the caves. Once you make your choice, bedding will be laid down in it, and then no one will disturb you. I thought we were going together. I don't want to be separated. Ulrich turned to him. Rider Eragon, I will do everything to accommodate you, but it would be best if Saphira waits in the dragon hold while you eat. The tunnels to the banquet hall aren't large enough for her to accompany us. Why can't you just bring me food in the hold? Because, said Ulrich with a guarded expression, the food is prepared down here, and it's a long way to the top. If you wish, a servant could be sent up to the hold with a meal for you. It will take some time, but you could eat with Saphira then. He actually means it. Eragon thought, astonished that they would do so much for him, but the way Ulrich said it made him wonder if the dwarf was testing him somehow. I am weary, said Saphira. This dragon hold sounds to my liking. Go, have your meal and then come to me. It will be soothing to rest together, without fear of wild animals or soldiers. We have suffered the hardships of the trail too long. Eragon looked at her thoughtfully and then said to Ulrich, I'll eat down here. The dwarf smiled, seeming satisfied. Eragon unstrapped Saphira's saddle so she could lie down without discomfort. Would you take Zarok with you? Would you take Zarok with you? Yes, she said, gathering up the sword and saddle in her claws. But keep your bow. We must trust these people, but not to the point of foolishness. I know, he said, disquieted. With an explosive leap, Saphira swept off the ground and into the still air. The steady whoosh of her wings was the only sound in the darkness. As she disappeared over the rim of Trondheim's peak, Ulrich let out a long breath. Aye, boy, you have been blessed indeed. I find the sudden longing in my heart for open skies and soaring cliffs, and the thrill of hunting like a hawk. Still, my feet are better on the ground, preferably under it. He clapped his hands loudly. I neglect my duties as host. I know you've not dined since that pitiful dinner the twins saw fit to give you, so come. Let's find the cooks and beg meat and bread from them. Eragon followed the dwarf back into Trondheim and through a labyrinth of corridors until they came to a long room filled with rows of stone tables, only high enough for dwarves. Fires blazed in the soapstone ovens behind a long counter. Ulrich spoke words in unfamiliar language to a stout, ruddy-faced dwarf. who promptly handed them stone platters piled with steaming mushrooms and fish. Then Oric took Eragon up several flights of stairs and into a small alcove carved out of Trondheim's outer wall. There they sat cross-legged. Eragon wordlessly reached for his food. When the platters were empty, Oric sighed with contentment and pulled out a long-stemmed pipe. He lit it, saying, "A worthy repast, though it needed a good draught of mead to wash it down properly." Eragon surveyed the ground below. "Do you farm in Farthingdor?" "No. There's only enough sunlight for moss, mushrooms, and mould. Trondheim can't survive without supplies from surrounding valleys, which is one reason why many of us choose to live elsewhere in the Beor Mountains." "Then there are other dwarf cities?" "Not as many as we would like, and Trondheim's greatest of them." Leaning on an elbow, Oric took a deep pull from his pipe. "You've only seen the lower levels, so it hasn't been apparent. But most of Trondheim is deserted. Farther up you go, the emptier it gets. Entire floors have remained untouched for centuries. Most dwarves prefer to dwell under Trondheim and Farthingdor, and the caverns and passageways that riddle the rock. Through the centuries, we have tunnelled extensively under the Beor Mountains. It is possible to walk from one end of the mountain range to the other without ever setting foot on the surface." "It seems like a waste to have all that unused space in Trondheim," commented Eragon. Oric nodded. "Some have argued for abandoning this place because of its drain on our resources, but Trondheim does perform one invaluable task." "What's that?" "In times of misfortune, it can house our entire nation. There have been only 3 instances in our history where we have been forced to that extreme, but each time it has saved us from certain and utter destruction. That is why we always keep it garrisoned, ready for use." "I've never seen anything as magnificent," admitted Eragon. Oric smiled around his pipe. "I'm glad you find it so. It took generations to build Trondheim, and our lives are much longer than those of men. Unfortunately, because of the cursed empire, few outsiders are allowed to see its glory." "Your readings are always so well enunciated, impassioned, and thoroughly spoken with talent. Credit is due when such a skill is demonstrated. On the balcony, under the stars, your voice upon the ether. The beacons are lit, much appreciated. Tristan, that is a fine compliment, my friend. I appreciate you for it. And I am very glad that you enjoyed. Thank you kindly for the stars. Tips to the tavern keeper are always appreciated." And it looks like the bear bought a round that I did not see, so raise a glass for the bear. The tavern, my friends. And then Matty bought a drink for me, so ein. Zwei. I listened to a YouTuber, TikToker named More Praz, and he talks about Australia and the wildlife there. He's pretty fun. Yeah, the wildlife in Australia is wild. The one thing that is funny to me, though, is that America has an equally insane wildlife situation, but because America is people focus on other things about America, so it doesn't get as much attention. But if you go to the American South, it's almost, if not more wild than what you get in Australia. Jazz, hello love, it's good to see you, welcome in. I'm so sorry I didn't notice you earlier. And I missed what you said before. I always come away from Black Dragon Tavern renewed, refreshed, and at peace. The stories and history is so great. Thank you, my friends, my family. Tristan, it's an absolute pleasure and privilege, my friend. America has the Skinwalker. America does have the Skinwalker. That's true. But you're not supposed to talk about. Alright, where was I? How many Varden are here? Dwarves or humans? Humans. I want to know how many have fled the Empire. Ulrich exhaled a long puff of smoke that coiled lazily around his head. There are about 4,000 of your kin here, and that's a poor indicator of what you want to know. Only people who wish to come here. Only people who wish to fight come here. The rest of them are under King Orin's protection in Sarda. So few, thought Eragon with a sinking feeling. The royal army alone numbered nearly 16,000 when it was fully marshalled, not counting the Ergons. Why doesn't Orin fight the Empire himself? If he were to show open hostility, said Ulrich, Galbatorix would crush him. As it is, Galbatorix withholds that destruction because he considers Sarda to be a minor threat, which is a mistake. It's through Orin's assistance that the Varden have most of their weapons and supplies. Without him, there would be no resisting the Empire. Don't despair over the number of humans in Trondheim. There are many dwarves here, many more than you've seen, and all will fight when the time comes. Orin has promised us troops for when we battle Galbatorix. The elves pledge their help as well. Eragon absently touched Saphira's mind and found her busy eating a bloody haunch with gusto. He noticed once more that the hammer and stars engraved on Ulrich's helm. What does that mean? I saw it on the floor in Trondheim. Ulrich lifted his iron-bound cap off his head and brushed a rough finger over the engraving. That's a symbol of my clan. We are the Ignatum, metalworkers and master smiths. The hammer and stars are inlaid into Trondheim's floor, because it was the personal crest of Krogan, our founder. Korgan, our founder. One clan to rule, with toil surrounding. King Hrothgar is Domgrist Ignatum as well, and has brought my house much glory, much honour. When they returned to the platters to the cook, they passed a dwarf in the hall. He stopped before Eragon, bowed and said respectfully, "I'd let them." The dwarf let Eragon fumble for an answer, flushed with unease, yet also strangely pleased with the gesture. No one had bowed to him before. What did he say? He asked, leaning closer to Ulrich. Ulrich shrugged, embarrassed. That's an elven word that gets used to refer to riders. It means silver hand. Eragon glanced at his gloved hand, thinking of the Gedway Ignacia that whitened his palm. Do you wish to return to Saphira? Is there somewhere I could bathe first? I haven't been able to wash the grime of the road off for a long time. Also, my shirt is bloodstained and torn and it stinks. I'd like to replace it, but I don't have any money to buy a new one. Is there any way I could work for one? Do you seek to insult Hrothgar's hospitality, Eragon? Demanded Ulrich. As long as you're in Trondheim, you won't have to buy a thing. You'll come to pay for it in other ways. As you had, then Hrothgar will see to that. Come, I'll show you to where you can wash and fetch you a shirt. He took Eragon down a long staircase until they were well below Trondheim. The corridors were tunnels now, which cramped Eragon because they were only 5 feet high, and all the lanterns were red. So the light doesn't blind you when you leave or enter a dark cavern, explained Ulrich. They entered a bare room with a small door on the far side. Ulrich pointed. The pools are through there, along with the brushes and soap. Leave your clothes here. I'll have new ones waiting for you when you get out. Eragon thanked him and started to undress. It felt oppressive being alone underground, especially with the low rock ceiling. He stripped quickly and, cold, hurried through the door into the total darkness. He inched forward until his foot found the warm water, and then he eased himself into it. The pool was mildly salty, but soothing and calm. For a moment, he was afraid of drifting away from the door into the deeper water. But as he waded forward, he discovered the water only reached to his waist. He groped over a slippery wall and found the soap and brushes, and then scrubbed himself. Afterward, he floated with his eyes closed, enjoying the warmth. This is, I'll take our wildlife over yours. People think it's not worth your life to travel here, but bears, coyotes, mountain lions, and wolves seem more dangerous to me than anything we have. Even though we have something like 21 of 25 of the world's most venomous snakes living here. Yeah, this is true. And then you go to some place like Florida, and Florida has thousands of poisonous insects, or venomous insects, I should say. You have thousands of poisonous frogs and snakes and the like. But then on top of that, you also have some of the biggest gators in the world, which admittedly, Australia has as well. But whew. Well, that's the thing, is like 21 of the 25 most venomous snakes live in Australia, but they only live in certain parts of Australia. Like, they don't live everywhere in Australia, they're only in certain parts of Australia. We're getting coyotes in the daytime, bobcats in our yards, aggressive turkeys on our cars, and even had a cougar last summer. My city named a bunch of food after it. Yeah, that's the thing, is like you get a lot of crazy stuff going on in the US. And don't you guys have the blue-ringed octopus and cone snails? And those cassowaries that are dinosaurs hiding in plain sight? Gators are just pond puppies compared to our saltwater crocs. That's true. But some of the gators out here in the Florida Everglades get almost as big as those saltwater crocs. They get massive. And then there are also crocodiles in Florida too, because idiots bought them as babies, raised them as pets, and then got rid of them when they were too big. So Florida is just a myriad of troubling things, and they've got pythons in Florida that are big enough to eat children. Yeah, blue-ringed octopuses are scary because they're so tiny and they're so unassuming, but they paralyze you and can just completely nuke you. Because I think Australia also has the box jellyfish, which is not the only place that has the box jellyfish, but you also have the box jellyfish. Gators be good eating, they do. Gator is kind of like gator and snake is kind of like a chicken. But if you get good gator and snake, it's actually more tender than chicken is. Alright, where was I? When he emerged, dripping into the lighted room, he found a towel, a fine linen shirt, and a pair of breeches. The clothes fit him reasonably well. Satisfied, he went out into the tunnel. Auric was waiting for him, pipe in hand. They climbed the stairs back into Trondheim, then exited the city mountain. Eragon gazed at Trondheim's peak and called Saphira with his mind. As she flew down from the dragon hold, he asked, "How do you communicate with people at the top of Trondheim?" Auric chuckled. "That's a problem we solved long ago. You didn't notice. But behind the open arches that line each level is a single unbroken staircase that spirals around the walls of Trondheim's central chamber. The stairs climb all the way to the dragon hold above Vistar Mithrim. We call it Voltorin, the endless staircase. Running up and down it isn't swift enough for an emergency, nor convenient enough for casual use. So instead, we use flashing lanterns to convey messages. There is another way too, though it's seldom used. When Volturn is constructed, a polished trough was cut next to it. The trough acts like a giant slide, as high as a mountain. Eragon's lips twitched with a smile. Is it dangerous? Don't think of trying it. The slide was built for dwarves. It's too narrow for a man. If you slipped out of it, you could be thrown onto the stairs, and again, it's the arches, even into empty space. Saphira landed a spear's throw away, her scales rustling dryly. As she greeted Eragon, humans and dwarves trickled out of Trondheim, gathering around her with murmurs of interest. Eragon regarded the growing crowd uneasily. You'd better go, said Oric, pushing him forward. Meet me by this gate tomorrow morning. I'll be waiting. Eragon balked. How will I know it's morning? I'll have someone wake you. Now go! Without further protest, Eragon slipped through the jostling group that surrounded Saphira and jumped onto her back. Before he could take off, an old woman stepped forward and grasped Eragon's fist with a fierce grip. He tried to pull away, but her hand was like an iron talon around his ankle. He could not break her tenacious hold. The burning grey eyes fixed on him were surrounded by a lifetime's worth of wrinkles, and the skin was folded in long creases down her sunken cheeks. A tattered bundle rested in the crook of her arm. Frightened, Eragon asked, What do you want? The woman tilted her arms, and a cloth fell from the bundle, revealing a baby's face. Hoarse and desperate, she said,
This child has no parents. There is no one to care for her but me, and I am weak. Bless her with your power, Atgethlem. Bless her for luck.
Eragon looked to Oric for help, but the dwarf only watched with guarded expression. The small crowd fell silent, waiting for his response. The woman's eyes were still fastened on him.
Bless her, Atgethlem. Bless her,
she insisted. Eragon had never blessed anyone. It was not something done lightly in Argasia, as a blessing could easily go awry and prove to be more curse than boon, especially if it was spoken with ill intent or lack of conviction. Do I dare take that responsibility? He wondered.
Bless her, Atgethlem, bless her.
Suddenly decided, he searched for a phrase or expression to use. Nothing came to mind until, inspired, he thought of the ancient language. This would be a true blessing, spoken with words of power by one of power. He bent down and tugged his glove off his right hand. Laying his palm on the babe's brow, he intoned, Atra gulai un ilian, tautharono un atra, ono weiss, skolir from Rauther. The words left him unexpectedly weak, as if he had used magic. He slowly pulled his glove back on and said to the woman, That is all I can do for her. If any words have the power to forestall tragedy, it will be those.
Thank you, Atgethlem,
she whispered, bowing slightly. She started to cover the baby again, but Saphira snorted and twisted until her head loomed over the child. The woman grew rigid, her head caught in her chest. Saphira lowered her snout and brushed the baby between the eyes with the tip of her nose, then smoothly lifted away. A gasp ran through the crowd, for on the child's forehead, where Saphira had touched her, was a star-shaped patch of skin as white and as silvery as Eragon's Gedway Ignacia. The woman stared at Saphira with a feverish gaze, wordless thanks in her eyes. Immediately, Saphira took flight, battering the awe-struck spectators with the wind from her powerful wings. As the ground dwindled away, Eragon took a deep breath and hugged her neck tightly. What did you do? He asked her softly.
I gave her hope, and you gave her a future.
Loneliness suddenly flowered within Eragon. Despite Saphira's presence, their surroundings were so foreign. It struck him for the first time exactly how far he was from home. A destroyed home, but still where his heart lay. What have I become, Saphira? He asked. I'm only in the first year of manhood. Yet I've consulted with the leader of the Varden. I am pursued by Galbatorix. I've travelled with Morzan's son, and now blessings are sought from me. What wisdom can I give people that they haven't already learned? What feats can I achieve that an army couldn't do better? It's insanity. I should be back in Carvahall with Roran. Saphira took a long time to answer, but her words were gentle when they came.
A hatchling, that is what you are. A hatchling struggling into the world. I may be younger than you in years, but I am ancient in my thoughts. Do not worry about these things. Find peace in where and what you are. People often know what must be done. All you need to do is show them the way. That is wisdom. As for feats, no army could have given the blessing that you did.
But it was nothing, he protested. A trifle.
Nay, it wasn't. What you saw was the beginning of another story, another legend. Do you think that child will ever be content to be a tavern keeper or a farmer, when her brow is dragon-marked and your words hang over her? You underestimate our power and that of fate.
Eragon bowed his head. It's overwhelming. I feel as if I'm living in an illusion. A dream where all things are possible. Amazing things do happen, I know. But always to someone else. Always in some far-off place and time. But I found your egg and was tutored by a rider and dueled a shade. Those can't be the actions of a farm boy I am. Or was. Something is changing me.
It is your word that shapes you,
said Saphira.
Every age needs an icon. Perhaps that has fallen to you. Farm boys are not named for the first rider without cause. Your namesake was the beginning, and now you are the continuation, or the end.
Said Eragon, shaking his head. It's like speaking in riddles. But if all is foreordained, do our choices mean anything? Or must we learn to accept our fate? Jody, hello, hello. Has it really been that long since the readathon? It is insane how fast the time between readathons go. Gary, hello, hello. You did miss quite a bit, but luckily this is sort of a hygiene chapter. It's Eragon settling in with the Varden. Tiger and Riho. Oh, and my mom, Tiger. What book are you reading? We are reading Eragon, the first book in the inheritance cycle. We are very near the end. Well, welcome in. It's good to see you. Probably managing. Oh, good evening. Better late than never. Sense of time of day has been off since my AC died Saturday morning, and then we had 3 days of feels like temps of 116 plus. I do not pity you, Jody. It's been high 90s, low hundreds here, and the AC in the tavern is not working well either. Lurking, my friend, be well. Thank you kindly. Vic, why did I say Vic? Jazz, thank you kindly, Jazz. It's always lovely to see you. I'm glad that you dropped in. No, it's all right, Gary. I got on a bit late. We had some issues, so it's not a thing. I appreciate you showing up. It's always good to see regulars in their seats in the tavern. Time flies when you throw a clock. That is true. That is true. Castle, I'm placing a wager that the next book will be book 2. I think that's very likely. Which will be interesting, because if we read through Myrtle, which I read, I don't remember now, because a lot of the things that are happening in here, I thought happened in Myrtle. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Yeah, I told him you're a good storyteller. He's been looking forward to seeing you read your books. Well, thank you kindly, Riho. I'm glad that you and your mom enjoy your time coming into the tavern. Alright, where was I? Saphira said firmly,
Eragon, I chose you from within my egg. You've been given the chance most would die for. Are you unhappy with that? Clear your mind of such thoughts. They cannot be answered and will make you no happier.
True, he said glumly. All the same, they continue to bounce around within my skull.
Things have been unsettled ever since Brom died. It has made me uneasy,
Acknowledged Saphira, which surprised him because she rarely seemed perturbed. They were above Trondheim now, and Eragon looked down through the opening in its peak and saw the floor of the dragon hold. Isidar Mithrin, the great star sapphire. He knew that beneath it was nothing but Trondheim's great central chamber. Saphira descended to the dragon hold on silent wings. She slipped over its rim and dropped into Isidar Mithrin, landing with a sharp clack of claws. Won't you scratch it? Asked Eragon.
I think not. No ordinary gem.
Eragon slid off her back and slowly turned in a circle, absorbing the unusual sight. They were in the round, roofless room, 60 feet high and 60 feet across. The walls were lined with dark openings of caves, which differed in size, from grottos to no larger than a man, to a gaping cavern larger than a house. Shiny rungs were set into the marble walls so that people could reach the highest caves. An enormous archway led out of the dragon hold. Eragon examined the great gem under his feet and impulsively lay down on it. He pressed his cheek against the cool sapphire, trying to see through it. Distorted lines and wavering spots of colors glimmered through the stone, but its thickness made it impossible to discern anything clearly on the floor of the chamber a mile below them. Will I have to sleep apart from you? Saphira shook her enormous head.
No, there is a bed for you in my cave. Come see.
She turned and without opening her wings jumped 20 feet into the air, landing in a medium-sized cave, and he clambered up after her. The cave was dark brown on the inside and deeper than he had expected. Though roughly chiseled walls gave the impression of a natural formation, near the far wall was a thick cushion large enough for Saphira to curl up on, and beside it was a bed built into the side of the wall. The cave was lit by a single red lantern equipped with a shutter, so its glow could be muted. I like this, said Eragon. It feels safe.
Yes.
Saphira curled up on the cushion, watching him. With a sigh, he sank into the mattress. Weariness seeped through him. Saphira, you haven't said much while we've been here. What do you think of Trondheim and Ajihan?
We shall see. It seems, Eragon, that we are embroiled in a new type of warfare here. Swords and claws are useless, but words and alliances may have the same effect. Twins dislike us. We should be on our guard for any duplicities they might attempt. Not many of the dwarves trust us. The elves didn't want a human rider, so there will be opposition from them as well. The best thing we can do is identify those in power and befriend them. And quickly, too.
Do you think it's possible to remain independent of the different leaders? She shuffled her wings into a more comfortable position.
Ajihan supports your freedom, but we may be unable to serve without pledging our loyalty to one group or another. We'll soon know either way.
And so ends this chapter of Eragon. We're coming up on it, friends. We've got 60, it looks like 66 pages left in Eragon. That means at the rate that we've been going, we'll probably have 2 or 3 more story times in the world of Allegasia before we'll need to vote on another book. Turns out that what was wrong was the fuse on the control board blew. When the HVAC got here, it was a 10-minute fix. Then it took 8 hours to cool off the apartment enough to sleep. Oh, it's dreadful. And so just sitting here right now, I'm drenched. My tavern garb is far too warm for the work that we do. You cashed in kitty tax. Just milk or water, also a sweet treat if the tavern keeper lets him. Riho wants to know if he can be welcome to the tavern as he's 6. I told him no adult juice. Yeah, we do. Of course, we have treats for children. You can get yourself some griffin wings, and you can get yourself some non-alcoholic milk or juice. Just milk or water, and also a sweet treat. I also told Riho to pretend to be a halfling. He won't stop giggling now. You don't really have to pretend when you're that short. You can just let people assume you're a halfling. Okay. So Maddie cashed in kitty cats. Give me just a second. Ace, how have you been? It has been a while. I am well. The lady and I have just been working our butts off as per usual. You know, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. Let me see if I can find Milo. As I'm sure Boo is... Well, he's not. I figured Boo would be over with you. He's probably in the bedroom since it's so hot. Oh, the chair has been revealed. Let's not do that. Ugly old chair. All right. Oh, hush. Oh, hush. For anyone who has never met him, this is the baby of the tavern. This is Milo. He's a big old baby. Hey, where are you going? Where are you going? You gotta work. You gotta work. I know you were napping and I came and interrupted you. Dragon of the West, hello my friend. It's good to see you. It's been a while. You can pretend to be a half one until someone checks your toes. That's true. Milo is paying his rent, aka Cuddles. That's what his job, his only job is to snuggle mom. That's all he does. And then occasionally he has to get up over here and say hello to everybody else. He's literally passing out again. He's falling asleep. Such a sleepy boy. Such a sleepy boy. But yeah, Milo is one of the tavern beasts. One of the many of the ladies' rescue projects. We do 2 things here in the tavern. We rescue animals and we rescue books. Sadly, we don't have enough room for either of them. But Milo was rescued by the lady from a kitten mill. Inadvertently, actually. She really just wanted a Bengal, which he is. He's a pureblood Bengal. But turned out he was from a kitten mill. And he's got all kinds of little behaviors from being taken away from his mom too soon. But he's a good boy for the most part. We're still trying to fix his problem of anytime he sees a box, he wants to pee in it. And I think that he pees recreationally. So this cat will pee and poop like 32 times a day. I'm not kidding. Not exaggerating. He will use the litter box like 30 times a day. He's a ridiculous animal. What? You just want to lay down? Here. What if I put you over here? Is that better? So you can lay on the blanket? Such a grouchy boy. Not nearly as grouchy as Boo is. Boo is a big old grouchy butt. And there is no bigger whiner in the house than Coda. Coda is the big whiner. Whines about everything. How many places can I pee the castle? Genuinely, it's a game he plays. Tristan says, talking strange times, I need my air conditioning in Canada. No igloos here, please. Just air conditioning. We have been in the high 80s, low 90s in Fahrenheit here. I would trade you for high 80s. Tristan, down here in Los Angeles, we've been in the high 90s to low hundreds for the last week. But yeah, Milo is quite handsome. He's not very bright, but he is very handsome. All right, you can go. Get out of here. Can I climb on the counter while you and Mom and Maddie? Yeah, that's Jen. They're both just menaces. Menaces to society is what they are. Alright, friends. We did get through quite a bit of story tonight, but I think I can manage 2 songs. And let's try and do a couple of songs we haven't done in a while. So a lot of our usual songs are going to be out of the running because we've done a lot of them in the last 2 times. So those are the temps we've had in South Dakota. It's been dreadful. And one of the big issues, we just did Tale of the Shadow. Wellerman we could probably do. One of the big issues is that it's not normally humid in California, but we've had like these weird, like almost rainstorms that have made it very muggy. So we've had like 40 to 80% humidity in addition to it being 90 to 100 degrees, which has been just wild. I don't think I know Old Timer. Oh, that's right. I do owe you a health to the company, Baird. We could do Hoist Up the Colors. Bobby, do you have a preference for an Irish shanty? I don't. Okay, let's see. What's a good Irish? Lovey. What's a good Irish sea shanty? Or a strike you? Ooh, either of those would be good. Bobby, do you want Roll Boys Roll or Leave Her Johnny? I'm gonna let Bobby pick her shanty. Then we're gonna run ads. Then we'll do songs. I haven't been in there. I'll go in tonight and look at it, Jody, and then I'll have it for you for Thursday. I'll see if I can get a little practice in for Thursday. Okay, we're gonna run ads real quick. That'll give us enough time to get through our songs, and then once we're through the songs, I will send you all off. Tiger also votes for Leave Her Johnny. Okay, so we will do Hoist Up the Colors, Health to the Company, and Leave Her Johnny. Sounds good to me. Oh, Rattling Bog would because if we're gonna do Rattling Bog, we have to do actual Rattling Bog, and I can't sing fast enough for Rattling Bog. I might have the lady do Rattling Bog with you guys. She's got a faster tongue than I do. I wonder what Grace O'Malley's crew would sing. It's a good question, Bobby. And I'll also take a tiny sip. Somebody cashed in a tiny sip last time, and I didn't take it, so here's a tiny sip for you guys. And I do apologize for not having been in the guild recently, guys. The lady and I have had so much going on here at home, and just getting caught back up on work with all of the problems we've been having here at home. I've not even really been responding to messages. I think I've got 100 unresponded messages between Discord and just Instagram and Facebook portals. Ooh, I'm shipping up to Boston is a good one. I'm so amazed at the relationship a human can develop with an animal. It's so wild. The way they touch our hearts, the way they express love for us. I've never felt a deeper love than from the pets I was privileged to be a part of. I can't say that I have a super deep love for the tavern beasts, but I do take care of them. They make the lady and the boy happy, so that's always important. I am starkly opposed to inside animals, but the lady loves to snuggle with her kitty cats, so I tolerate the inside animals. And unfortunately, I'm very good at training animals, so that helps as well. Thank you, Mr. Storyman, for letting me come to Storytime. You're welcome, Rio. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself. I mean, that's fair. Most of the time, our children love their pets more than they love us anyways. It happens. I don't think it's on purpose. They're just very committed, you know? I think it's the sort of like how we are all very invested in our children. Children get very invested in animals because it's sort of like the same symbiosis. Obviously, it's not exactly the same, but it's in the same sort of category of nurturing, right? You nurture a pet and you get very attached to it, and then you know you nurture your children, or at least you should be nurturing your children, and you get very attached to them. We'd be sort of up a creek without a paddle if we didn't do a good job of nurturing our children, which, to be fair, a lot of parents don't, but I just got a poke in the ribs for that. He said he loves me more. All right, let's do. You know what, Tyson? I'll do shipping up to Boston for you. I'll do shipping up to Boston. I don't know if I can do shipping up to Boston, because it's kind of more it's more of a like a aggressive sort of like growly song than what you usually get. Oh, Tyson, you requested Hoist Up the Colors. We'll do Hoist Up the Colors because I think that's a more popular one. So we'll do Hoist Up the Colors, A Health to the Company, and Leave Her Johnny. Yeah. Slasher, Jody, slasher. Okay, alright. Join me if you know the words. Doing Hoist Up the Colors. The king and his men stole the queen from her bed and bound her in her bonds. The seas be housed and by the powers where we will roam. Your whole hands hoist the colors high. thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Yo-ho, all together, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. Some men have died, and some are alive, and others sail on the sea, with keys to the cage and the devil to pay. We lay to fiddlers green. Yo-ho, together, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. The bell has been raised from its watery grave. Do you hear its sepulchral tone? We are a call to all, pay heed to the squall. Bless you, my love. And turn your sail towards home. Yo-ho, all together, hoist the colors high. Heave ho, thieves and beggars, never shall we die. The Queen, the King and his men stole the Queen from her bed and bound her in her bonds. The seas be ours, and by the powers, where we will roam. Thank you for the song, my friends. Absolutely lovely. Always a pleasure to sing with you. Now we'll move on. Okay. Do we want to do Leave Her Johnny last, or do we want to do A Health to the Company? I think A Health to the Company last. That's a nice send-off, so we'll do Leave Her Johnny first. Thank you, Ace. Bears his blessings. Red Riho wants to join the Queen Anne's Revenge. Teach better be nice. Okay. Singing Leave Her Johnny for anybody who wants to join in. She did sneeze. A little kitten sneezes. I thought I heard the old man say, leave her, Johnny, leave her Tomorrow ye will get your pay, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Oh, the wind was foul and the sea ran high. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. She shipped it green and none went by, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. I hate to sail on this rotten tub. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. No grog allowed and rotten grub, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. We swear by a oath for want of more. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. But now we're through, so we'll go on shore, and it's time for us to leave her. Leave her, Johnny, leave her. Oh, leave her, Johnny, leave her. For the voyage is long, and the winds don't blow, and it's time for us to leave her. Well, thank you. Rio's just told me he's going to join the Navy for the songs. We're an army family. Oof, that's rough. I don't think many folk in the Navy sing these sorts of shanties anymore, though. All right. Go Navy, beat Army. We've got a lot of Army and Navy folk who are in the tavern, so it is kind of funny to see the rivalry in real life, you know. Ugh. And Johnny doesn't leave, the tavern beasties will attack, right? Alright, final song for the evening, my friends. I love everyone equally until the Army-Navy games. It's kind of like how Europeans are like, we're united, like we all agree on things until it's time for the World Cup. Then all Europeans hate each other. There is no camaraderie during the World Cup. I think the closest thing we've gotten to camaraderie during the World Cup is when everybody came to the US this year, or the Americas, I should say. I love Space Force more. Alright. Join me, friends, in our final song of the evening. Kind friends and companions, come join me in rhyme. Come lift up your voices in chorus with mine. Come lift up your voices, all grief to refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. Here's a health to the company, and one to my lass. Let us drink and be merry, all out of one glass. Let us drink and be merry, our grief to refrain. For we may or may never all meet here again. Here's a health to the dear lass that I love so well, for her smile and her beauty sure none can excel. There's a smile on her countenance as she sits on my knee. There's no man in this wide world as happy as me. Here's a health to the company, and one to my lass. Let us drink and be merry, all out of one glass. Let us drink and be merry, our grief to refrain. For we may or might never all meet here again. Just wanted to hop in and say howdy from Texas, love your stuff, and glad I was able to catch you all. Colton, welcome in from Texas. I hope you're staying as cool as possible down there in the great big state, and we're glad that you dropped in. A ship lies at anchor, she's ready to dock. I wish her safe landing without any shock. If ever I should meet you by land or by sea, I will always remember your kindness to me. So here's a health to the company, and one to my lass. Let us drink and be merry, all out of one glass. Let us drink and be merry, our grief to refrain. For we may or may never all meet here again. And then to end it up, we drink it down to here. And go on, my friends. Jazz, I'm glad that you enjoyed. It's always wonderful to see you, love. Scry, welcome in from Australia. We have a great many Aussies who find their way into the tavern. We're glad you stumbled through the portal. And for everyone who has joined us for the first time ever tonight, Durgo, good to see you. We're so very glad that you could join us. We hope that we'll get a chance to serve you again as your storytellers. But sadly, this is where we must end for tonight. I must send you all off back out into the world. It is always a grand thing to see you all here gathered in the tavern for a story, and it is such sweet sorrow when we must part. But my friends, this is the time when we must. So, I will thank you all for your patronage. To everyone who first found their way into the tavern tonight, we hope that you have marked us on your map and you'll be able to find your way back. And for everybody who returned, thank you to the regulars. Thank you to all of our barkeeps who keep everyone safe and libated during these long hours of storytelling. And, of course, we must thank the lady for keeping me in a relatively on-time schedule for all of the things that I must do. And, my friends, this is it. So, until next time, I will bid you all stay bloodthirsty until we gather again. Slán go fór, my friends.
The truth is bereaving of all I
The weird is full up. The weird is full up.
Across the foam where the gray sea dies, I see the gold in your mortal eyes. Leave the iron sheen, leave the rust, leave the men who turn to dust.
I see the light, I see the shore, but my heart is tied to the threshing floor. How can I ride where the shadows go, when the wind of home is all I know?
Tienanog is calling.
Beyond the mist where the sea is new,
Leave the world of the gray and the falling. Hashim, Harun, I am calling you. 10,000 winters in a single breath. The land of youth, the end of death. Time is a cage, time is a lie. Come to the land where we never die.
I took the saddle, I left the clay, but the ghost of home wouldn't fade away. 300 years passed like a sigh, while I watched the golden birds fly by.
Hashim, my love, stay on the horse.
I must see the hills, I must find my source.
If you touch the ground, the years will strike.
The world is changed, it is nothing alike. I touch the ground and the ground turned gray. My brothers are bones, they have blown away. My skin is a shroud, my heart is lead. I wake among the ancient dead.
The veil is thin, the light is long. We are the pulse, we are the song. You chose the shore, you left the tide. The mist has closed on the mortal side.